But one night here, a couple of months ago, it stopped being very quiet and it got very noisy. All the way to the very top,
all the way to the top.
where the trees are.
Wow.
You can see an area that doesn't have streaks.
Yes.
Right.
All the kind of the browny stuff that doesn't have streaks in it, and then the gray, that's really a bright gray, not a dark gray, on the right-hand side. 180,000 tons of rock, which is the equivalent of a fully loaded super tanker. Okay. Essentially just broke free from up there and split as it came apart. And a portion of it, probably not half, but a portion of it slid off to the left and down those slopes and hit the top of that talus slope there and pulverized. But the bigger portion of it came off the lip there, kind of right directly in our direction, and actually went up into the air, and that's why some of these trees are sheared off at about 30 feet high instead of at the base. And the rock, the domino effect of all these trees falling down and following in front of this blast made a pattern that knocked down the trees in a parallel line to this building. In other words, they fell here and fell on the other side of it, but didn't do any real structural damage to the building at all, except for two things, which I'll show you. The building is fine structurally. What did happen was it opened up the building enough that a cloud of this very fine abrasive dust went in there and coated everything with about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of dust. Another end of a tree went right through the back end of the building where the boards have been replaced and knocked out some interior boards, and they went vertically right through one of the exhibits. And just like a tornado, like the straws that go into a tree, that's exactly what happened with these beams. Almost like somebody shot an arrow right through the exhibit. We have just finished putting $500,000 in new exhibits in this building. It had been open for 4 weeks, and it was absolutely beautiful, and all these families, kids were having a good old time in there, and then this thing happens. And then let's go take a look over here where the bridge is.
I thought it happened during the day. It happened at night?
It happened at about, right about this time. Anyway, the bridge will be rebuilt, the new roof is going to be put on this building, and a lot of this area is going to be fixed with federal disaster money, federal, emergency funds that the Park Service has to work with. We look in this window while they're this close, and you can see how the exhibits just got completely dusted. Spanning the river in the way that they're sitting, so that the tree had to hit them kind of straight on. That's pretty serious. It had enough power in 2 jolts to make the Richter scale, register the thing. I think it was the Mammoth one, or it might have been one that was closer. But anyway, they have flown. The other thing that we did, they asked us for emergency funding to do an aerial overflight and take really detailed pictures of this area to document it immediately after the thing had happened. And we did something similar to this when Hetch Hetchy Reservoir was at its absolute lowest level during the drought. There was only 9% of the water in it that it could hold. And we did an aerial flight of the whole Hetch Hetchy Valley. It was a real neat thing.
Excellent.
And then we've provided up to $100,000 in emergency funding of our own to help clean these exhibits and to do a re-landscaping of this area because it won't be put back the way it was. There'll be an educational kind of a walk that you can do around here. And we'll get to the sad part of the story here. We'll go around the corner. This is where the concession stand was that you all know and remember and love. And it had closed 20 minutes early because they ran out of food. And so the employees were not in it, and this was just about 6 o'clock, I guess, in what, it was July, wasn't it?
10th.
July 10th. And there were some people here from Montebello, Southern California, some high school kids, and a kid that had been in his first year in college, a freshman, and they heard this thing and ran for cover. And this fellow Emiliano Morales tried to take shelter on the back side of the building, and a tree, almost one of the last trees that came down, just went right straight through the middle of the building and killed him instantly. And he was the only fatality. But a couple of his friends, one girl in particular, was paralyzed for life. I mean, she's going to be in a wheelchair the rest of her life.
Standing in this area.
Yeah, and they were apparently over 150 people were in this area, or I mean, in the general zone of the blast and the dust.
Like stepping on a can.
Yeah, just like smudging up, just got smudged completely. So we have a project here. We thought we were done, but now we're kind of starting over again. A sign provided by the Yosemite Fund in memory of Emiliano Morales, and the family's real pleased with this.